Hey guys, it's me back with another video, and we got bad news today for Yoru and VIPER mains. And unfortunate news, especially since we've been waiting for a long time for really good changes, but unfortunately there are no changes and there won't be any changes in some time. So in a Reddit thread, one of the developers of Riot, Altombre, I think that's what he's called, or she, has responded to the claims of why Yoru and VIPER haven't been receiving changes. So here's the thread. Where are the Yoru/VIPER changes? I was really looking forward to some gameplay changes, either to agents or weapons. People keep mentioning it's because of some tournament going on, but then when is that going to be over? For those of you who do not know, right now a Riot tournament is going on called VCT, and that's the reason why some of the changes have not been shipped yet. Masters, which is one of the stages of VCT, is getting played on this patch, so we are avoiding any disruptive changes. And Astra is not available to play in Masters, so she is an exception. Basically, for those of you who also do not know, the live patches that we all receive, that's not the patches that tournaments are played on. The tournaments are played one patch before. So when we had a patch that nerfed the frenzy, the tournaments were still playing on the patch that frenzy was not nerfed. I know, even though it's a good change, why are they still playing on the older patch, you say? Well, there might be some bugs and annoying issues that may be encountered with the latest patch. So Riot has decided from like a long time ago to always have the tournaments in one patch before. So that's what he or she means here. Astra Masters is getting played on this patch, so that's why they did not want to add something all of a sudden game changing in between tournament like VIPER and Yoru changes. They didn't want to add that. And since Astra is not available to play, like it's banned, any changes regarding her would be redundant anyway. For full transparency, 2.05 will likely be a lighter patch as well, as we keep an eye on Astra's launch and ensure it's healthy. Past that point though, we have a gap in tournaments and some time where we may be able to ship some of the changes in the 2.06 to 2.0 window. So essentially, from this statement, you can obviously conclude that do not expect any VIPER or Yoru changes in the next patch. It will take at least 1 month. 1 month, man. April, man. Before we see any VIPER or Yoru changes. It's quite annoying. And that as well, if it gets delayed, then it's another 1 month of wait at a maximum. And that's also another issue. So between 1 month and 2 months, you're going to see some changes. Continuing that thread, the post owner said, that's understandable. I think you guys mentioned you would try to make separate builds so that this wouldn't happen in the future. Is this still going on, or will future big updates always be delayed if there are big tournaments on the horizon? So he's trying to state that the tournament patches and live builds are always different, and you guys are trying to make it so that it's not very disruptive. Are you still working on that, or will you make big updates always be delayed so that tournaments are more satisfied? And Altombre responds, yes, we are working on the tournament realm stuff right now, so this is a temporary problem. That being said, we do want to keep tournaments and live patch as similar as possible, just because we think it's exciting to see pro teams playing in the same meta as live, but it will not be necessarily be a blocker like it can feel at times right now. So that's one thing that is good to know. In another Reddit post which I've mentioned, Altombre also responded the following. It may not seem like it, but we really want to ship these changes as soon as possible too. We just only have so many sets of hands and a lot to juggle. There are more changes we'd like to make that we can realistically ship, so we gotta prioritize for the check of balance. Assuming Astra lands in a reasonably balanced spot, Yoru and VIPER will be getting priority for changes. I know it's disappointing for you all to keep seeing this delayed. It's disappointing for us too. Rest assured that we will get these out as soon as we can once the dust has been settled a bit. Another hint at the changes that was given here, you can see, with Astra appearing to be a much better VIPER. What areas of VIPER kits are you guys looking at to bring her out more? I think Astra and VIPER are pretty different, although I can understand some of the comparisons. In general, we like that VIPER has a persistent, high footprint, higher commitment, threatening smoke. All of those aspects are pretty unique to her, and we'd like to maintain what we can there. VIPER commits to her smoke placement more than other controllers, but is able to smoke much larger areas for more of a round as a result, and her smokes are more threatening to push through or play around. This is the identity the VIPER has. We are experimenting, leaning into some of these aspects to see if we can get her into a better spot for solo queue without homogenizing her or distracting from her identity. As you can see, this means that Viper needs to have a committed smoke placement, so we might not be able to see her orb being remotely accessible like some other agents. People wanted her orb to be magnetically retrievable anytime, anywhere. I don't think that's going to be the case, judging by this specific statement. So they're trying to keep her orb as it is and wall as it is and trying to buff it somehow. I think that's what they're trying to still think about. They're not gonna bring like huge changes like, oh, her orbs are retrievable from anywhere, her walls are retrievable from anywhere, and the walls can be taken back. I don't think they're gonna do it like that. Her identity is committed smokes and smoking much larger areas. So these two things, they're just going to try and enhance them and not change them. That's what they're trying to do here. So we may not see any retrievable orb smokes or some other huge things. So we'll see what happens. Another statement regarding Yoru, which is a final statement that I'm going to cover in this video. I wish I could go into specifics, but I do not want to make promises that end up being untrue. Yoru's always walking a tightrope. Finding the right balance between Yoru's ability to infiltrate behind enemy lines and giving heads up enemies enough information for him to play around him is tough. Right now his tuning is probably too fair, so we are trying to find ways to empower Yoru to infiltrate and outplay enemies without making it feel like the game state just falls apart anytime Yoru is in a game. Which means they're probably going to work on the audio and make it so that the fights are a little bit unfair. And what they mean by fights being too fair is that when Yoru teleports, you know Yoru teleports. When Yoru teleports, you know where he teleports. So those are the issues which make the fights fair. Like if it's an Omen's ult and Omen is ulting at a spot where no one can hear him, which is like quite easy spots. The sound is low, usually low, and it's hard to find out where Omen is. Like if you are in B side and Omen teleports to CT lobby next to heaven, you would still not know that it is CT lobby next to heaven. But if it is Yoru teleporting, you would instantly know that, oh, Yoru is here, so we gotta be prepared for it. With Omen, that's not the case. So that's why Omen is relatively more unfair and more nice with his ult, and Yoru's ability to teleport anywhere is a disadvantage because you're still letting enemies know exactly where you are, and it becomes a fair fight rather than an unfair fight, and that's why Yoru seems to be very lackluster right now. So they're probably going to work on the audio and probably make his footsteps more similar to his own. I think that's what seems to be the more right way to tune him. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know these important changes that might be occurring. So be prepared to be disappointed for the next patch. There won't be any Yoru or Viper changes most likely, and wait for the 1 month break. So if you're a Viper main or Yoru main, you can probably wait for 1 month before you really want to, like main her to try and climb the ladder. Anyway, that's what I want to spread out. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you here.